I am Camilla Cleghorn.
I'm Chris Yi.
I'm Roy Cannaday.
And I'm Wendy Yi.
And today we're going to be doing our top 10 anticipated games of 2023. Before we get to that, though, a couple shout outs. These are some of our Kickstarter backers. So thank you very much to Thomas Covert, Alan, Travel Bow. No, you.
It's like
Alan,
right here.
thank
You got
you.
shouted
It says
out.
right here,
Oh, it
Travel
does.
B.
I don't read the note. Travel B. There we go.
There's a note down on how to pronounce it.
There is.
There is.
Thank you.
There we go.
Very much appreciated, Alan.
Sorry, Alan and the whole family. Alan, Anna, and Adam.
Adam.
Ooh, snap.
Scott Duncan, Lisa Canelli, Joshua Buck, Pedro Lemke, and also shout out to Pedro and Noni, and Miss Helena Cameron. So thank you guys for the Kickstarter backing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
It's
so
pretty
much,
awesome.
especially.
We appreciate
Yes,
it.
and our next, our 2023 Kickstarter launches next week. So if you're interested in the shout out, be sure to join us there.
Absolutely.
But today we're going to be talking about our most anticipated games. Now, we just had 2022, which I think we all agreed was a pretty great year in gaming, right? Like, it was pretty fantastic. When I was doing the end of the years, it's like, it was such a cutthroat list. The best of to make. Yeah, it was cutthroat.
Only you could turn this into like, oh, look at all these great games. Now fight.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a pretty big bloody battle.
We do have a show that's literally that, making the games fight each other with the brackets.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Anyway, so going into this, I was like, oh, this will be easy. But gosh, no, I feel like this year was hard as well. This list was just as hard as the best of last year. It's just as hard to anticipate because it was just, I've had to cut it down from like 25 games or
What
something.
I think
like
is
this
hard.
was bigger.
Yeah, what I think is hard is also the fact that like most of the games that are going to come out next year aren't announced. So it's like this is some games that I'm
Yeah.
excited about, but there's
Yeah.
so many more
Yeah.
that will come out that aren't announced yet. So.
Right.
I realized that one of mine on my list hasn't even fully backed. Like, I thought that it was all the way backed, and then I looked at it today and it wasn't. And so I'm like, oh.
What do you mean all the way
You mean
back?
there's a game
What do
you
you
have
mean?
Like, it's-
currently on Kickstarter?
Like, it's on GameFound right now, yeah. And
We're
I
doing
thought that it was
crowdsurfing
done.
right now. I'm just kidding.
So we shall see. It's
Yeah.
like at 75%, so. If it
Okay.
sounds good, that's all I'm saying.
So
Make
75%
it happen.
chance the game will be on your list. I have one on here I'm pretty sure is not going to actually come out this year, and I'm just gonna bite the bullet on that one. That's fine.
Got it.
I like doing this list, but also at the same time, yeah, like Roy said, so many great games are like, hey, this game is just announced. It'll be at Gen Con next week.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
made my most anticipated list, and I didn't look at my one from last year. And I was like, Tom, are we allowed to put ones that we had on last year this year? Because it's always iffy back and forth. And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. I was like, I already made my list, but like I'll take the ones off. And he's like, no, it doesn't matter. And like I looked, and I was like, oh, there's a few on here that were from last
Right.
year. So I'm still anticipating you games. Come out so I can play you.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I specifically didn't put them on my list.
Right, Tom told me it didn't matter. So I was like, okay, cool, I will do it.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
There's just, for me, there was like 10 more that I want to talk about anyway. So it's like,
There you
cool,
go.
more that I'm excited about, you know.
There
But
you
yeah,
go.
I definitely have some from last year that I'm still eagerly awaiting.
And in the coming weeks, we will be looking back at the previous year anticipated
Yeah,
list.
we will.
We'll probably each be individually doing
Yep.
videos, talk about did they come out and everything.
And I can get even more angry that they're not out yet.
Exactly.
More anger. But with that, let's just jump in here with our number 10.
I guess I want to clarify one. I do see something come up in chat. I did not put any game on my list designed by a person in this room, just to clarify.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did exclude that one as well, just because I didn't know where that stood.
Yep.
It's gonna be coming out this year. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
And
again,
I
just-
also did not put it on my list. 'cause
right, I
that
just
seems
felt like-
cheap. So
I also
Yeah.
didn't put anything that I haven't played yet on my list. So,
You didn't put anything that you haven't played yet?
sorry,
You
I put
haven't.
things that I have not played yet. I've not put anything that I have played.
We'll
Oh,
cross
so-
that bridge when it
yes.
comes
I
up.
I went with is it available out?
Yeah.
Not if
okay.
I personally played it for coming through or not.
All right, with that,
So.
let's jump into my number 10 here. This is a game that is from a designer that I enjoy a lot of his stuff, and a new first-time, or sorry, there's not a first-time designer, but this is a collaboration between these two people, Vital Lacerda and João Martins. This is called Bot Factory. It was actually on your list last year.
This was on my list, yep. Because
Yeah.
it was on Kickstarter. It was Kickstarter January, so I was like hoping that, but
I
anyway.
didn't make it.
Right, yeah.
This was an honorable mention for me.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this one. I like Kanban, the game that this is sort of based on, and they're making it a smaller game that uses the same worker placement type system where depending on which action you take in this big line of actions, that determines the player order for the next round, which I really like that. Sandra, the bean boss, is going around the bot factory yelling at you and making sure that you're staying on quota or whatever stuff.
Cleaning up
Shop, right? But this is a smaller game. I was bit by the last one, Mercado de Lisboa, in the little thinky filler line, is what they're trying to make these like smaller Lacerda games. I hated that one. But that one seemed like so far removed from the game Lisboa that it was based on. This one seems more like, hey, here's those core concepts in just a smaller, lighter game, instead of like, here's something else.
See, because of Mercado de Lisboa, that's why it didn't quite make it on my list. I'll still play it. I'll still happily play it when it comes out. But it's not one of my most anticipated because I have that little bit of like is it going to be as good as Kanban?
In the words of Poison, once bit, twice shy. Mike, was that Poison, or was that Rat, or was that White Snake?
Twisted Sister.
Twisted Sister, I'm sorry, folks.
None of the
Just
above.
name all the bands until you get it right.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so my number 10, Bot Factory.
Nice. Yeah, good pick. And a better year than what I picked. And a better option for years of when I pick it, yeah. My number 10 is a game that I came across from crowdfunding, or crowd surfing. We surf the crowd, that's right. Crowd surfing, and it is Hijacked. We covered this in the show at one point, and I didn't know anything going into it, and there wasn't a whole lot of buzz behind us, but I kind of went through that again in preparation of this, and this one came up. I was like, oh yeah, I was really excited about this. So it's, again, I'm a big themer, right? And so this, you're on a plane, the plane's been hijacked, and it's surrounded by cops, and you were trying to get the passengers off, but also kind of meet the demands of the hijackers enough in order to fulfill your objectives. And I really like the worker placement, some of that negotiation. It's going to have the contract fulfillment, kind of dice placement, limited resources, just a lot of really interesting things set in what I think is a unique theme. So don't know a whole lot about this, but other than what was on the Kickstarter when we went through it, but I'm really excited about this one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, I hope it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to jump into it and find out more and see how much that theme comes across, I'm not
certainly unique.
Right, and I'm not big into negotiation like with the other team players because I don't share very well. I'd rather go down with a burning ship than share a dinghy. So that's just like it's like that concept, I guess, or whatever, just of negotiating games is one I struggle with. So this and the negotiation with the actual components on the board and stuff, I think it's a really interesting take on it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Hijack.
Hijacked.
Jack did.
Past tense, yes.
It would be really stressful if it had a real-time element too. It was like
it doesn't have real time, but it does. There is the time track through, which signals the end of the game, and that is sped up, or so that is going to change as you go through the game, depending on how angry the hijackers are. So, and I think that's cool. So it's not real time, no, but it is like this variable ending, depending on the game. So yeah,
that's cool. I like that. I didn't look into that one. My number 10 is Darwin's Journey. So this, you're going through the memories of Darwin, and you're going through the Galapagos Islands and stuff. And so thematically, I was like, that's kind of interesting. That's unique. That's something I haven't seen before. But also, this is Luciani and Mangione, which are Mangoni. How do you pronounce that?
Mangione.
Mangione. Thank you very much.
Like Chuck Mangione.
I don't know who Chuck Mangione is.
Come on. He's like the only famous cornet player in the world.
I barely know what a cornet is. Okay. So anyways, good designers, they're part of those Italian designers that I really enjoy. There's some set collection, there's some worker placement, there's some stuff going on. So I think between the interesting theme and the designers, like I'm excited about this. I'm curious to see what it'll be interpreted into and how it'll end up looking.
I really like those designers, and yeah, good old Chuck D, Charlie Darwin's.
There you go. That's my number 10.
You go.
Darwin's Journey.
My number 10 is a Space 4X game, but not that one. This is Stellaris. This is a game, I'm actually really excited about this. It is based off of an IP it was on my list last year as well, but it's just supposed to be a fast-playing 4X game, and it looks really cool the way that they put everything together, and it's got a little bit of campaign elements, and they say that there's some stuff where it's kind of like you play the game, and then you pack it away, and it just kind of stays the same, and you can continue to build your civilization in between game, but each game is supposed to be pretty quick overall, so I'm just definitely interested to see what they've done with this system and what they've done with this IP, and I just love space themes. All my dice guys have space on them, so I'm into the space theme, and I'm still excited about this game coming out. So that's Stellaris.
But how long does it take to play?
I don't know. Like that's another thing. That's another reason why I'm really anticipating this and excited to try it out because I want to see what they've done with that sort of system and see how it kind of comes together. So, but I think it's supposed to be like 90 minutes or something like that.
That's
and
cool.
But the gameplay doesn't actually stop at that. You continue to play after that. It's a campaign sort of thing, so you can continue to play and use your same sort of setup after that.
I'm really curious to see how that persistence is going to work in the game.
Is it like everyone levels through the campaign, I wonder? Or if you just kind of
am
reset
wondering.
each time?
I don't think it's like legacy overall,
Yeah.
but I think it's stuff that you get to keep from game to game, which isn't really done in like Twilight Imperium or Eclipse or anything like that. You start over each game. In this one, you'll kind of get to keep your stuff. So I guess I wonder if you have to have the exact same group and stuff like that and how they handle all of that stuff, but it looks really cool as it all comes together.
Nice.
So
I like that
Stellaris.
cover a lot. It's really pretty.
Space, my number 2.
All right, my number 9 is a sequel, a follow-up game. It's called Point City. This is from the same 3 designers as Point Salad, and this is going to be cityr.
From vegetables to buildings.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about this game actually. I just know that it's coming out. It is going to be a little bit more of it's a little beefier, I guess, than Point Salad, because Point Salad is about as bare bones and quick and easygoing as a game can be. But Point City is going to have some more. I read the Board Game Geek page. It says there's resource management and you build buildings. And I'm like, cool, I'm in. Those 3 designers, the Flat Out Games company, they have put out so many good games.
There's a distinct lack of Pokemon on that box, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, when they come out with the Eevee edition, then
The Eevee edition of
Ooh,
Point
I don't-
City.
yeah.
That
Point Pokemon?
The cards there were kind of giving me, and I don't know gameplay wise, but it was kind of giving me like Fantastic Factories vibes. Now it doesn't have
Yeah.
the dice placement, but like the resources there. That I don't know. Maybe it's just the graphic design, but it kind of gives me those vibes.
It's really simple to look to it, and it doesn't belie, I don't think, the gameplay. I think it is that approachable and everything. If it's at all going to be like Point Salad, but so I'm just excited about it. They were showing off like a box of it at Essen. I was like, "Where's the cards?" So I don't know. We'll see it eventually. My number 9, Point City.
Not salad. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Good stuff.
First try.
All right. So I want to clarify something that came with the comments, and maybe I did not explain it well enough. I really like cooperative games. I don't like negotiation games where like I would rather none of us get off the ship than have to share a dinghy. Is what I meant by that.
Sure your favorite game is a cooperative game.
Yes,
so.
I very much like cooperative games. My number 9 is Dead by Daylight, which is cooperative, or one versus many, I guess, which is you can play cooperatively if you are on the many, right? This is this is a video game that I want to like so much. It's one that I've actually played, and I've played like 4 video games total, right? So this one I have played before. My problem, I can't play it long. I get really dizzy. I get really motion sickness in video games.
Is it first person kind of thing?
It's any like moving camera. If it goes up and down, I think, I don't know. It just like truly makes me sick. Like have to, about 10 minutes or so is all I can, and then I'm out for a couple hours. So anyway, so I really can't handle them, but this is one that I've played. Anyway, I played it, and I'm so excited for a board game implementation of this. Because it's a theme that I just find fascinating. I really enjoyed the games I played. That one versus many. Are you the survivors trying to kind of work together to complete the objectives and then get back, get out, or are you the killer who's like slowly hunting them down? So if this can be implemented well into a board game, I think it's lower on my list, down to number 9, just because I'm nervous. It's like a lot of apprehension. Like, oh, please be as good as I want you to be. But I am.
If you want to give it the same sort of feel as the video game, you can just put on a Lazy Susan and start spinning it around as you play. Then you can continue to get dizzy as you
and
play.
put on one of those, what's that game that pops up, Pop-O-Mat, so every now and then it'll like,
Perfection.
Perfection, right, exactly, yes, so that I can
We
also
need more
get
board
sick.
games that like real-time games that have a perfection board underneath where you
Yeah.
have to like move through the thing or the whole board pops.
Why
and
is there
messes
more
up the
jump
game.
scares in board games?
It's
I
like
don't
an
know.
automatic
Like,
table flip if you don't complete the
Turn
game
is
fast
taking
enough.
too long. Bah!
Table flip.
Yeah,
love
so that's perfect. Yeah, so I'm really excited for this one. Again, apprehensive, so it's a little bit lower on the list, but this theme right here, I am just, I want this to be so good, so bad. So we'll find out.
That's awesome.
So good, so bad. All right, my number 9 is Fit to Print. This is a really cool puzzly game. It does have a real-time element, but it's competitive. And it honestly makes me think of, I just forgot the name of the game. It's a game that Roy's really good at, where you're building your ship.
Perfection.
No, not Perfection.
Galaxy Truckers.
Galaxy Truckers, thank you. It has kind of
I had
this
to think about
Galaxy
what games are
Truckers
good at.
element. But instead of building a cool ship, you're building a newspaper. And so you have to make sure you have enough ads so that you can fund your paper. But then you're also trying to have your headlines and your articles and your pictures and stuff all together, but nothing can touch each other. And so there's some really cool kind of puzzly stuff going on in that kind of real-time aspect. And so I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really cool.
That's a really interesting theme of like speed making a newspaper before the day's in to print it out.
Get it done. Get it done fast.
Tool artwork helps too. It looks gorgeous. Also from Flat Out, same people that are doing Point City.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
Oh, nice.
yeah, they're making a great reputation for themselves.
Flat out awesome.
My number 9 is a Marvel game, but this time zombies. So this is Marvel Zombie Side. This is the actual version of the game, which has all the crazy stuff in it. I'm like hit or miss with Zombie Side in general. Most of the time, I think it's a little bit too lucky or light as a cooperative game, but this game looks like they've added a lot more stuff to it as far as like powers and leveling up the stuff, and like depending on the creatures that get eaten, you get different powers and stuff like that. It looks really cool in the way it's all come together. And I painted the gigantic Galactus that we have out there for this game, so it's like I'm like, I'm jonesing to play this. I know you guys played the smaller version of it that had standees and you were just the heroes, but I'm interested in both versions, the heroes and the zombies.
Right.
So.
And I found that version was more streamlined, more cleaner rules, less upkeep in between the rounds and that kind of stuff. And I think that those were positive improvements on the zombie side. So, no, I agree. And again, that the being able to switch sides is really exciting. You know, you want to be the zombies or the heroes, or do you want to,
I feel like this
really
for me,
excited.
I mean, I know everybody loves Zombie Side, or it has its fans for sure, but like for me, I'm kind of like, the decisions are very apparent most of the time. I'm hoping that this is going to feel like a Massive Darkness 2 versus Massive Darkness 1 for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, they have more decisions, more cool things you can do, more ways to manipulate the game, and it looks really cool. And I love Marvel superheroes, so make them zombies, and that seems like fun. So that's cool.
I genuinely forgot that Galactus went to a game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you still like, I painted it up. I was like, that whole...
Well, there's a whole different version of him that has a zombie head. So we have the regular version.
I want the head,
There's a zombie head version. When you actually back the Kickstarter and you back the gigantic version, you could switch it in and out depending on which side you want to be playing against
that's
Galactus
really cool.
on. It's really kind of crazy.
necessary component, really.
Yeah, exactly. Gigantic figures. But yeah, Marvel Zombies.
My number 8 also comes from an episode of Crowdsurfing where I looked, it was my pick of the week. It looked really, really cool. It's called Age of Inventors. This is a worker placement game. It has some tile laying aspects to it where you're trying to put out these tiles. Every game is going to abstract its theme out a little bit. You get different inventors and you get different inventions and stuff. You try to line them up on the board. But I love this theme. I love the idea of building gadgets and gizmos and stuff. And so having this really cool theme, I think it has a very good look. It's very brown, but I think even you complimented it.
Right.
That it fits what it's going for. It's a thematic brown.
Right. It's kind of like genotype. It fits. It works in that theme. So same thing here.
Yeah, it's not like we went with the cheapest ink for this ugly Euro game.
I about to say that's what we need on our Chris E shirt. Is like it's a thematic brown.
Ooh, I like that.
Thematically brown.
But yeah, I really like it. I was really impressed with it, and so I know it's a smaller company that I met them at Essen really briefly, and they were like, "Oh, it was so exciting to hear that." And I mean, I just meant it. I'm very, very hopeful that this one is good. I really like the idea of inventions. So.
I like that cover with the piping, like that copper piping and stuff. Looks really shiny and cool.
Kind of a steampunkish look to it and everything.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm very excited about Age of Inventors, my number 8.
Very nice. All right. Mine is a sequel to a game that I really like. I think Mike and I are kind of the champions of this game. Is Tidal Blades 2. I really like Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef. The Tidal Blades 2, this one, The Rise of the Unfolders, is a completely different game. So it's not a 2.0. It's like the next step in the story here. And the first one was competitive. This one's cooperative. You talked about games you haven't played. I did play this at Dice Tower West, and I was excited going into it, but now that I've played it a little bit, I'm like, this is one that I'm really excited to see where it goes in this storyline. It has the book, that you play on.
I love storybook
Oh my gosh,
games. Yeah,
so
it's
good.
awesome.
Similar to like Jaws the Lion, that's going to unfold your scenarios. So I love that idea that you can have all these different maps and see all the different parts of the world and really adventure out, but also keep it in a smaller, just one book, and not need 45 million tiles. Slight exaggeration. And so I really like that. I love the mechanism of your own player board and the puzzle that brings, because you have these different symbols that you cover up as you go. And if they're open, when you play a card, you'll activate that whole line, and if there's a symbol there, you get it as well. So when you play a card, you lose that symbol, but you also get another ability. So you're setting yourself up for these big combos cooperatively, and I love that. I mean, that's one reason. You talked about one of my favorite games, Spirit Island, having that cooperative big moments, and I think that Tidal Blades does really well. This game did really well with that, and so I was excited about it. Played around a little bit with it, and now I'm just super excited to see where it goes, to get more story and adventure in this Tidal Blade universe. The
art has always been fantastic.
Yeah,
so.
Mr. Cunningham is just fantastic with it, and just to see more of that. They're actually going into the unfold. You're having those battles that you're training for in the first game. Here you get to now go have those battles and the big monsters and the world. I can't say enough. I'm super, super excited about this game, and that's even having already delved just a little bit into it.
I'm a big fan of teal.
Cool.
Give us more teal.
More teal.
Thematically
Do you not
teal.
have enough in the walls here?
Thematically teal. That's what
One
we
little
need.
strip of brown. We're good. I'm just kidding. No.
And that's the beach.
I'm going to say something bold here. I think I'm willing to give almost any one of these big, expansive, role-playing kind of games a try if they come with a map book.
Yeah.
That is such
A big deal,
a-
right?
such a
Streamlines
big
it so
deal.
much.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and two, this is, I would call this maybe more like even a dungeon crawler. So, RPG, but even a dungeon crawler that, again, comes down to a single book, and you can
awesome.
have that
Dungeon crawlers are what I was
experience.
looking for, yeah.
Okay, right. So you can have that experience, and don't get me wrong, I love my dirty, nasty dungeons, but I love this bright, colorful world, and so to get those mechanisms in a different style of world, something
That's
else
awesome.
that we have, I mean, it just really opens it up and leaves it accessible, like you were saying.
Yeah.
You're willing to give it a try.
Right.
That's what more good can you say? I mean, that just sounds so great.
That's super cool.
My number 8.
All right, my number 8 is Arabella, and this is the one that I realized wasn't funded. I totally thought it was. I'd been chatting with Chris about this, and so I thought it was a sure thing, but 75% the way there. So this touts itself as an 18xx roll and write, and so it's supposed to be a quick play, and you're building your trains, you're doing stuff with stocks, it's all economic-y, there's all the fun stuff, but it's a roll and write game, which surprised me. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to be interpreted. Also, that cute cat on the front, that's adorable. That's adorable. But mostly I'm excited about Trains, A Million Trains. And I'm hoping that this has a lot of those fun roll and write combo things where you get one thing, you get another. So I'm going to see if that happens. If not, maybe it'll be more like a Next Station London where you're building routes and all that kind of cool stuff. I really enjoy being able to draw new routes and shapes. So I kind of don't know what it's going to end up being, but it looks like it's going to be cool.
Well, you've played an 18xx game for the first time.
I did.
recently,
I
right?
did it at Dice Tower East for the first time.
I think this is supposed to have the share values and stuff. So it's supposed to be more than just 18xx themed. It's trying to be just like a quick playing one.
Yeah, it's supposed to have stocks and stuff. So I'm very excited about that. So yeah,
Stonks, baby.
that's my number 8.
That's what the kids are all about.
Fund it. That's what I should say.
Fund it so Wendy can play it.
Fund it so I can play it.
That's awesome. My number 8 is a game from Restoration Games. This is a remake of a game, obviously. This is Thunder Road Vendetta.
Yes, this was my short list. I'm so excited.
I
Sorry,
know.
go ahead.
I
yes.
played the old Thunder Road. It's like a little roll and move game where you're trying to move your guys up and stuff like that. But I'm really excited to see what Restoration has done with this. I don't think we have a good car combat game. This is like a racing game where in the old version, you would the track would move and you'd move a piece to the end and keep moving. And I really like that mechanic. I've seen it in several other games before. But just having that in a game where you have several different cars you're trying to race and then blow each other up as you go along. This is like Mad Max, the board game sort of thing. And as long as the gameplay streamlined and a lot of fun and just kind of silly, that's kind of like what I'm looking for this, and it's kind of what I expect it to be. I know Restoration does a great job with a lot of their games, so I'm excited to see what comes of this one. So
this looks so cool. I'm right there. It was my short list, and I just couldn't quite squeeze it in because, like I said, it was a tough year. But oh my gosh, I'm so glad this is on your list and we can talk about it because it is just. This looks like one of those games that it's not a party game, but it's going to give you those tense and up and yell, kind of moments, and I'm really excited.
I only played the board game once, but from what I remember, it's kind of like almost like last car standing as you're kind of racing and blowing each other up going along. But you also had like a little helicopter that was flying around shooting up the cars as well.
Gosh,
so like everybody had a helicopter, everybody had cars, and you were just doing all this stuff. And if you got too far behind, the road would just fall away, and your cars that were back here are just gone.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
So it was pretty fun. So yeah, Thunder Road Vendetta.
There should be a good car battle or race there, because
Exactly.
the only good one I can think of offhand, and I know that I'm forgetting something, but like that Fast and Furious game from Prospera Hall is actually pretty good.
And
so
I mean,
if
they
that
have
can
like
be pretty good, then
bigger
this should be
Yeah, it's
things
ridiculous.
like Car Wars and Gaslands, but the rule set for those are just through the roof. You have to learn all these crazy intricate rules and charts and stuff like that. But it'd be so much easier just to have like a fun family weight party game where you get to blow each other up in cars. That's kind of what I want.
That's what every family needs.
Can you crash yourself into the helicopters?
That would be what you need to do. That would be awesome.
That's what I want.
Make it happen, Justin.
what I want.
No, but yeah, awesome stuff. Thunder Road Vendetta.
All right, my number 7 is a roll and write game, train-themed game, and it's supposed to be quick playing. It's called.
Has it been funded yet?
It's not funding, so in your face, my game is real. It's called Pioneer Rails. So this is it's actually a flip and write game. I don't know about y'all, but I've found myself enjoying flip and write games more than roll and write typically. And I used to not really make the distinction between the two, but
Is it the same way that you prefer combat with cards instead of dice?
sort of.
Kind of that, it's I don't know,
There's a
the
little more predictability.
Yeah, there's
I do wonder if
predictability.
there's
yeah.
the ratios are going to be right.
Yeah. But also, like, when we played, what was that, Oathsworn, I was like, put these cards away, I'm checking dice. I don't know why. So I am nothing if not inconsistent. But Pioneer Rails is a flip and write game where it's mixing train drawing routes and stuff, but also it's the cards that you flip over are like poker cards, or like standard playing cards, and you're trying to do something with like poker hands as well at the same time. I don't know if it's going to be too wacky or not, but I really like the designers on this, Jeffrey Allers and Matthew Dunstan. Matthew Dunstan did Next Station London, which is a phenomenal little route kind of a game, and if you want to have something like this where you're doing train route building and stuff, mixing it with something zany like poker hands and stuff, I'm in. I'm really excited about this one. My number 7 is called Pioneer Rails.
It's cool. I like how the cards that you're flipping over have that poker card look. It's very thematic. You know what I mean? Like it looks like they're kind of going, kind of had that
for an
in
Old
mind.
West kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Nice.
My number 7, just to really beat home here that I really do like cooperative games, my number 7 is another one, and it is Sleeping Gods Distant Skies. I really like Sleeping Gods a lot. I've really been finding myself loving story and big worlds in games recently. Going through, recently reviewed Lands of Galzer and loved that. And what I really found about that, I like this, the quick setup, the play, how easy it is to get into the world. And I think Sleeping Gods Distant Skies here is the same Sleeping Gods main mechanisms, but it looks like a couple things have been streamlined, combat's been updated, little things like that, and so I think based on what I've seen, it's going to be a little bit more accessible, a little bit more streamlined, kind of a little tighter, but still give you that rich world, those great decisions, the excellent writing and visuals that Ryan Lockett and Mallory are known for, and I'm just really excited for this to kind of come in not a smaller package necessarily, but maybe a little bit more streamlined package, where I don't feel like it takes up the entire table and I have to commit 2-3 weeks to it because you don't want to clean it up and put it away, and I don't want to look up the rules to combat every single time.
Right.
So I really think what it's trying to give here, and so it's a standalone sequel with everything you already love, but just a little bit slimmer of a package. I am so excited for that, and if it comes through on that, then this'll I'm sure soar to the top of some of my list because I love Sleeping Gods, I love the world. Just a couple things I wanted tightened up, and it looks like maybe some of the comments, maybe he took those to heart in designing this. But I'm so excited to go back into this world here.
Sleeping Gods is still one that I haven't played more than an hour and a half of, just because life and games reviewing. Yeah, we tried it once, really short amount of time, and
really
so
liked
good.
it.
This,
Right.
yeah. So this coming out again could kind of be that opportunity
Right.
to
And
to
with
re-pull
that,
it out and try it again.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, arguably, you could say, like, you really haven't played it then, and that's not a slight on you. That's just more
I totally
knowing
agree.
what this game offers and
It's
the
huge,
amount that it takes to really experience it. Playing an hour, it's like,
I got to taste it.
You touched Sleeping Gods,
Appetizer.
kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. And so
You stirred it, you got the whiff of it, and then you threw it on the ground.
Right. Yeah. That's about So
It's
I
like
think
getting three little shrimp.
Right.
For you.
Yeah. So just knowing that here's an opportunity to maybe have a little bit more of that. I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Couldn't
Well,
tell.
Really? Let me try again. I'm so excited.
Well, my number 7 is definitely a boring, dry Euro with no color or theme, and that
Cats?
is Steam Up, A Feast of Dim Sum. No, this one I have to say, I am only interested in it for the toy factor. Like, it looks adorable, absolutely adorable. I mean, look at those pieces. They're just
wanna
toys,
eat it.
essentially. Yeah. So it's a set collection game. You're collecting these cute little dim sum things, and it just looks adorable. It's also, I think it's 10 plus, and so it's something that I showed to our daughter. I showed her a picture, and her eyes got big, and she's like, "Is that something that I can play?" Like, she's very excited. I'm excited. I think it's adorable. So that's what that is.
We're not, you especially, you're not usually caught on like production value.
I'm not. But the trays, they're like stackable.
One of us.
The food.
One of us. Oh, sorry.
This is one too
Fall
that's
into the dark side.
Yeah, this is one that, like, I think it's been on every convention we've gone to this year, and every time it's like, ooh, what's that? Oh yeah, I've seen it. Ooh, what's that? You know what I mean? Like, because it does have that toy factor that just brings you in. You're like, ooh, oh yeah, I'm still excited about that. I forgot.
Yeah, oh, you're not selling
like,
it yet. Darn!
Oh,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Is this the convention you're selling it? No. So no,
Not
we've been
quite.
teased multiple times by this game. Yeah.
Soon. It will happen. It will happen.
It'd be awesome if you could actually play the game with real like dim sum ingredients.
I'm going to,
Yeah.
and
Go
I'm
to a
also
dim
going
sum
to
place and be
win
like,
that game.
There we go.
Yeah, it's like a Zoll with real Starburst,
all.
right?
I will
I need that.
lose because of its set collection. I will have eaten everything by the time the game ends.
There you
That's
go.
where you're
Yeah.
collecting the sets.
Yeah, but you will have won in spirit, you know.
Exactly.
And in
Exactly.
Wasteland. It would be great. But yeah, it's awesome. My number 7 is a game from Awaken Realms. This is Lords of Ragnarok. I really enjoyed Lords of Hellas, and I thought it was a lot of fun. But just like most Awaken Realm games, it wasn't very it was a little bit not intuitive to get into everything. This is one of the few games I've actually played, just like a little bit of the demo of it or whatever. And Lords of Ragnarok basically takes a lot of those systems and a lot of the ways that you can win the game in different ways and just makes the game super awesome. So I've really enjoyed Lords of Ragnarok, and I'm excited to play it more and see what more the game has to offer. And of course, Awaken Realms has amazing miniatures and kind of like the way that their games are. They're always like this grandiose experience. And I do feel like this is one of the more like streamlined games that they've made, which isn't saying a lot for Awaken Realms because their games are normally crazy all over the place.
But they're not going the wrong direction.
They're not going the wrong direction with this one. This one's not more obtuse in rules. This is probably going to be a lot easier to get to the table than a lot of their other games, but I'm excited to play it more.
All right, I'm in.
But yeah, it's good
try
stuff,
this one.
good stuff. I know Mike liked it as well, so should be good. Yeah, Lords
Mike has
of
good
Ragnarok,
taste.
my
I trust him.
number 7.
My number 6 is driven mostly by theme. This is one that I'm so excited about. It's called Luthier. Luthier is luthier is a stringed instrument maker, a violin, guitar. You're just a craftsman of musical instruments. This is one there's no information on. I took a picture of the Board Game Geek page.
I love it.
There is like
That's
nothing.
fantastic.
I am so excited about this though for 2 reasons. One is that theme. I am a guitarist. I have
Right.
studied classical guitar. I've performed. I performed in recital halls and stuff with just me and my little but and so I love that. The second reason, this is from Paverson Games, who is doing Distilled,
Oh yeah.
which we got to do a little play of that, a live play of that on the channel, and it was really thematic. And so the fact that they're saying Luthier is going to be a very thematic approach on classical instrument crafting during the classical era with Mozart and Beethoven and other people, I trust that they actually mean thematic. There's a lot of times that companies are like, this is an innovative blah 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 system in a thematic universe. And you're like,
Push
no.
your cube 2 spaces to the left. And you're like,
Based on how good Distilled is and how thematic it is, I really am trusting them.
We need more good music themed games, I think, in general. Because I know you've been burned by a ton of things. You're like, it's music themed.
Maybe.
But it's cool to see some of the like historical music or classical music stuff. Like we just had Lacrimosa, and now Luthier. Luthier. Did I say that?
Luthier?
Did I nail it?
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. So we see that. I think that's really cool. I hope to see more of that in kind of a direction.
Yeah. This is the one that I doubt is actually going to come out this year.
That's what I was wondering. I was about to say, don't they
Distilled
normally
hasn't even come out yet, right?
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Distilled hasn't come out yet. So
Yeah.
if you're like, Chris, it's probably not going to come out. Well, put Distilled on my list then, because that one's also really good and probably actually going to come out this year. But I'm so excited about Luthier. I saw it on the list and I was like, I'm gonna talk about it either way.
Cool.
So yeah, that's my number 6.
Nice.
Luthier.
I like it. Well, I have a little bit more information about my number 6, but I don't know much about it.
Okay.
So my number 6 is the one I easily know the least about, and this is Earth. This was a Kickstarter. It should be delivering soon. And it is about kind of creating the ecosystem and trying to set up the different synergies within your ecosystem to build things up. The bits look really cool. We're actually taking and building up trees, and they're getting taller as you're collecting the resources and set up those right synergies. And that's about all I know. But I am not over nature-themed games yet. I know that there are a more than a couple of them to choose from right now. But I love it. I really like it. I really like the environmental games, that don't get preachy. And I think that this game, from everything I see, has all that. It's got the beautiful aesthetics. That's why I like nature, because it's so unique and there's so many different takes on it. And the brownest of brown of, I'm going to use American places here because that's where I'm from, but the brownest of brown of Arizona to like the lush Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. They're both beautiful in completely different ways, and I think that this game, just looking at the artwork, it really captures that, but also brings in those synergies and making those ecosystems and stuff. I'm really excited to see what this does.
That's awesome.
It does have a really pretty cover too.
Some
Yeah.
nature-themed games are also very small in scope. This one seems bigger in scope. The game's called
Earth.
Earth. Yeah,
Right,
It's
yeah.
not like
Yeah,
it's not like Red Fern, the game. It's Earth.
right. Yeah, and just to see how that all works together, as opposed to Meadow, which is very like micro-focused on the little nuances within a meadow. Yeah. So super excited about Earth.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, my number 6 is one that maybe Roy will like because it takes place in space. So this is Ceres. I think it's called Ceres, Ceres.
I consider this one.
Siri. How do you pronounce Ceres? So this is an asteroid mining game, and so there's a lot of like really cool Euro-y looking stuff going on there. There's that rotating wheel and all that jazz. But thematically, I guess what you are is you're on like some mini planet around Mars. And I don't know if that's a moon. I don't know, something they call it like a tiny planet or something like
Like a
that.
dwarf planet.
Dwarf
yeah.
planet.
In the
I think that's
asteroid
one of the
belt.
moons of.
Is that it? So I think it's just a
Mars, right?
moon of some sort.
Yeah.
But you're stationed there, but then you're sending out these machines and stuff to go mine the asteroids and stuff and bring them back. And so your
nice.
home base, you're building that up. And it looks really cool. I liked the video on Kickstarter watching that. I know it's not going to be like Moonbasa, but it kind of gives me some of those feels visually. And so I'm really excited about it.
That's
Space.
cool. And I like space.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's awesome. So my number 6 is an exploration card game, kind of by the team of some of the guys. I know Andrew Navarro is one of the designers on this, and he worked at Fantasy Flight for a long time. This is Earthborn Rangers. So basically this is a card game where you're adventuring out and trying to like explore and do a bunch of different stuff. It has campaign elements as well. I'm hoping this is like similar to like a Lord of the Rings LCG sort of thing or Arkham Horror LCG as you're playing through the different stuff, but it's made by some of those same team with that same sort of mindset that no longer are with Fantasy Flight but now are doing kind of their own thing. I'm really excited to see like what all is in this game and just the fact that it has those story elements and stuff like that. I'm excited to explore and see kind of how the story emerges from this. And I just think it looks really cool, and it's like a team that I'm excited to see what comes out of it. So
I completely forgot about this game, and I'm so mad. So Again, I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot about it. I'm like, yes, I want to talk about that one too. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about it, but I really want to see how it comes together.
Yep.
Just because I love that style of game. Like, I love LCG style games, and if this is kind of like that in a box and gives you kind of like that exploration feel as you're playing through, like that sort of card game would, I would love to see more about it. So, Earthborn Rangers, that's really cool.
Man, I forgot about it, but yes, good call, Roy.
Yes.
My number 5 is, I won't say too much about the rest of my list, but this is a Shem Phillips game. It is Legacy of You. This is a solo campaign worker placement, hand management type of game I'm gathering. I really like Shem Phillips as a designer, as a solo mode designer, as a graphic designer. There's so much that I really love about Garfield Games and his work. And so a lot of his solo systems are very smooth and easy to run. The fact that this is built from the ground up as a solo game, I'm hoping that makes it even a smoother experience where you don't have to try to simulate a 2 or 3 player game. No, this is what this was meant to be from the beginning. So I'm really excited about it. The fact that it's like a resettable campaign, but it's supposed to be a fairly short campaign, and the fact that it's solo means that I can play it as I want to. You know, you're not sitting there waiting like, hey, when are people coming over again to play the next scenario of blah, blah, blah thing?
Yeah.
I want to be able to play this however and whenever I want. So I'm really excited about this one. I think it looks really cool too. Sam Phillips does the art for like the Garfield Games historical games line. And I think he's getting better. Because people really made fun of his first attempt at Circadians.
Is there any way we can get a petition started that you can get a custom copy of this that just says Legacy of Yi and just change the U to an I? It would be perfect.
I will massacre that
Or you
box.
could just straight up get the box, just put a big black Sharpie, just make the I
The U,
there.
if the U is a
If
little
you look at
shorter
the
on
right
one side,
way-
it looks like you probably just get away with a dot.
Yeah, come on,
It'll
Jim.
be
Let's make it happen.
stylized.
Legacy of Yi.
Just fill in the whole U and make it one big fat eye.
There you go.
One big
Yeah.
fat eye. All right. There you
Basically
go.
a square with a dot on top.
Yeah, that was my nickname in high school, actually. So, my number 5,
Big fat.
Legacy of You.
That's awesome.
All right. My number 5 is the game on my list that I have. You talked about like Thunder Road and how Restoration Games has that nostalgic feel for some people. You know, they bring them back. This is not a restored game at all, but it has a nostalgic feel for me because of the theme. And this is Hike It. So I went to college in Tennessee. I'm from East Tennessee, so the Smoky Mountains were my backyard. I remember on this Kickstarter, it was just like the fields after the fields after the fields. I am so excited about this. Looking at this map, the board was designed by a topographical, I don't know what, topographist, is that a word? Anybody?
Topographical cartographer? I don't know.
Cartographer
That
of
sounds really fun to say.
topographical things. So I'm so
Good
excited.
attempt.
That's all you need to know. It's going to be great. So it's an actual topographical map, and it has the hikes in the right places, and you're going around and visiting. But before you go hiking, you have to make sure you have the right resources. Is it an overnight hike? What's
Make
the
sure you have
wildlife
your
there?
bear mace,
that kind of stuff.
so you don't
gotta
get
have
attacked
your
by
bear
bears.
mace. Yes. Oh, and so I'm so excited about
horrifying.
that thematic integration. But it has those roots that I look at this board and I know what I'm looking at because I have that connection to it. That aside, it looks like a neat game. And so if you don't have that connection to the Smoky Mountains and don't understand that, I still think it just thematically, it really ties those necessities in and kind of that planning in and the different events that can happen as you're on a hike. You don't ever know what you're going to run into. I think that for those that have the connection, this just looks so fantastic like me. For those that don't have the connection, but maybe this is a theme you like, again, it looks like it is going to play out really well with those mechanisms and that theme involved. The designer in it really is into hiking and that kind of stuff and took that to heart as he's designing this game. And so I'm so excited to get my hands on this and just try it and just partly relive that because, I can't hike it in Florida. Southern Florida.
There are
It's not-
no mountains
I don't need bear
whatsoever.
mace down here.
You need alligator mace.
Alligator mace.
Hike
Yeah.
It Southern Florida edition. You walk across this boardwalk of planks that's a third of a mile long in the Everglades.
Right,
And
with
goes
a
in a little
machete in one
circle.
hand and a fly swatter in the other.
Yes.
That's how you prep for a Florida hike.
And you definitely do see alligators.
And you wear those like
Sometimes.
boot pants that come all the way up here so you can slosh through
yeah.
the...
So a little bit different in this game, but oh my gosh, thematically and that personal touch, I am beyond excited for this game.
That's super fun.
Also, yes, Chad, I want banjo music when I open the box. That'd be fantastic.
Okay, my number 5 is Dreadful Meadow. I came for the cute picture and theme. I stayed for the developer and the company that's producing it. So,
I love that art too.
yeah. So
really
you
cool.
are farmers who are farming candy for Halloween. Like, it's super exciting, super cute. Like, I haven't heard that before.
As a farmer does.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be an economic farming game, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. And what's really exciting to me is Arcus Games is making this, and I believe Shem Phillips is their like lead developer, and so I'm super excited about all that he's done. I know you just mentioned Shem on your last game, but the fact that like his hands are going to be on this, he's going to make it good, and it's super cute, and I love that theme. Like, how fun is that? So I'm excited to see what this becomes.
I was gonna say, this feels like real life. I have 4 kids, so I definitely felt like we were farming candy on Halloween.
Oh my goodness.
I had to bring a bunch of candy into the studio because I'm like, I can't eat this candy.
I throw it away. Like, I give up
I
as
would-
much as I
that's
possibly
literally
can.
buckets of it.
We're still working through
Literally,
it.
the reason why I went on a diet was because I was eating too much of the kids' candy because I was too good at this game.
Oh my goodness.
By going to diet, you mean you brought it to us.
I tried to,
And then
instead
it
of killing
worked the
myself,
entire time.
I figured I'd kill all my coworkers.
I like you this much. Happy heart attack.
Happy diabetes. Yeah, right?
That's a good greeting card. Hallmark?
Yeah.
Make that one.
And the funny thing is, Ruthie brought some to her work as well. So we didn't even bring it all here.
well, we
split
appreciate
it in
yours.
between us.
Oh my goodness.
Farming candy.
No, I
Sounds
think
great.
I let my daughter keep 10 pieces by the after that like first week. I was like,
Oh,
pick
wow.
10, rest is
Nope.
gone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're harsh parents.
There you go.
Yeah.
I
We're
let
actually
my
good
son eat
parents.
as much as he wants for 2 days, and then it goes in the trash. It's like, you have 2 days to eat what you want, but it's not gone in 2 days,
Gone.
it's trash,
And
I'm
you didn't
done.
go to the hospital, or
No, he's
as
got.
much as he wants? I
Kids
could
can only
never tell
eat
my
so
kids as much
much.
as they want. It would be
He has
gone.
pretty good restraint. I don't
They'd
know.
just be laying there on the
Yeah.
couch,
Yeah.
like in a sugar coma.
Still unwrapping it. Oh.
But yeah. Just
Like,
put,
we gotta get through all of it this
put
one
a little
day.
puke bucket beside him. You're like, good luck.
See, my daughter has better self-control than me, and so she's like, Mom, you're eating another one?
She
Wow,
shames
that's
you.
when you.
You let your daughter shame.
Oh,
no.
our kid absolutely shames us.
The
No.
problem is, you didn't wait till they went to sleep.
She
That's
opens
when-
the trash can and she's like, oh, I see someone ate a
What?
Hershey's bar.
You take that trash out before they
You
can see.
serious? Sometimes I tuck it and hide it under. She's so nosy.
We've gone off the rails.
Anyways, Dreadful Meadow, super excited about
Candy
it.
farm.
My number 5 is a crossover with Camilla.
Yes!
Mine is Sleeping Gods, the new one. Distant Skies. I'm super excited about this, and like everything you were saying, and the main thing is accessibility.
Yes.
Like, I love the story in this game, I love the art in this game, I love the theme of this game. It's just hard to get back to the table sometimes. Like, you need to set it up and kind of set out there and just have this sprawl of game and play, Sleeping Gods. I'm hoping that this kind of streamlines some of that, makes combat easier, like you were saying, and just allows it to be more accessible, and you can bring it to anybody you want. The theme and the story is so amazing in Sleeping Gods, and I've thought about like bringing it out with people. I want to show it to like Ruthie and people like
Right.
that, but it's like the undertaking of like getting it all out and like teaching it for the first time, I feel like is a little bit daunting, but like I'm hoping this makes it more accessible and makes it get to the table even easier. And I love Ryan Lockett's games, and I love the story that he has in them, so I'm extremely excited about Distant Skies.
Yeah.
Now, do you worry about playing the game again with new people to it and then going to the same locations and having the same events?
The crazy thing
I
is
know it's really open.
It's really hard to, I mean, you could do that. You could, I feel like you could literally just take your map from an old game and be like, okay, I know these keywords are here. If we want to go there, we can. Or
Yes.
we could just completely avoid those areas, and there's so much
Just
to
do something
explore
else. Oh,
yeah.
that you could just completely go a different direction and never go the areas you already did. It'd be fine. Or you could be like, hey, I know there's some gold over here. Let's go get that first before we
Right.
do the rest. And that might actually set you up for like your little campaign.
success.
And it's not
You know.
going to, but it's not going to take away from the play either. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not going to ruin the play. Hey, I know there's gold over there. No, it's just going to, now I have gold, it's going to open more options. So it doesn't ruin the game if you do that, if you kind of game the game. I think
Yeah.
it just gives a different perspective and different options, because there's so many options and so many routes in this game that
It's
I
kind of
don't
like
think
playing
so.
through, like replaying a little bit of Breath of the Wild and be like, oh, I know there's a temple over here, I think, somewhere in this direction, you know, that sort
Yeah.
of stuff.
My
Yeah.
real question is, when in the world does Ryan Lockett sleep? Because he made the whole Sleeping Gods, and then a year later was like, by the way, there's more, and
I mean,
it's
he let the
better.
gods sleep instead of himself.
I don't get it. This would be.
Yeah.
This didn't make my list. It would if I thought that I would reasonably actually play it. I vow that 23 would be the year that Wendy and I actually catch up on a lot of the Ryan Lockett games that we haven't played yet, like like Near and Far and stuff. So I want to play this one more.
Yeah, this one looks good.
Do it.
Good choice.
How many times have you said good choice to their picks? Or?
Okay, that was savage.
Woof. You're not going to say it to this one. My number 4.
That's a terrible choice. I was warming up. Sorry.
He was like, I'm done with that.
I don't even think it's a bad choice. I just don't think you're going to be excited about it. My number 4 is called El Burro.
What do you mean?
Oh.
It's a donkey.
It is a donkey.
It's a donkey.
It is the donkey.
Behind.
Yeah. Well, the best part
Behind
of the donkey.
what?
That's true.
El Burro is how do you say it like a white person? El Burro. El Burro,
That's a burrito.
anyway.
Another description. You're the worst.
There's certain words that, like in Spanish, I'm just used to saying them. So anyway.
Did you draw these pictures
El
that go along with these
Burro.
BGG descriptions? Because the last one had a doodle as well.
Oh, it's like legit.
He's
hard
like,
for me to see
no,
the screen
my
from
daughter
here.
did.
No, that's about my drawing. That's better than my drawing skills, unfortunately. This is one, there's not pictures and stuff, but what information there is about this. This is based on La Granja by Oda, the designer that I really like. I love La Granja. It is a dice drafting game mixed with multi-use cards, mixed with contract fulfillment type stuff. And it's one of the best dice drafts out there, where after everyone goes through and drafts 2 dice, there's 1 remaining die left in the middle that everybody gets to activate. So cool. That's a lot of like fun tension when you're like, I'm going to leave these 2 for you to pick, and now which one you pick is going to benefit me back. I love that.
That's interesting.
And so my first question is, what is actually different between La Granja and El Burro? And this sounds like a 1.5. This doesn't sound like a whole new game. It sounds very similar, uses the dice draft, multi-use cards, all that stuff, but there's different ways that you're building up for endgame scoring. It replaces kind of an area control thing in the middle with like different tracks to move up on and unlocking powers. So I don't know how different it's going to be, but I know that I'm really excited about it. And I think it looks nicer than La Granja.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't think I'd be excited about this one. This is probably this is going to sound bad, but know how I mean it with love. This is probably the one I'm most excited about what you've gone over so far.
Really?
Yeah, I think just some of the mechanisms, having played La Granja, liked it, but thought a little, found a little,
You've played
whatever.
La Granja?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and so no, it's like, oh, good, those are improvements. Like their control going to tracks, cool. I like that a lot.
I did not know that actually.
Yeah. So.
No, La Granja is one of my favorites. So.
Okay, well, I would not. That's a bold statement. I would not say that, but for myself, but yeah. Yeah, 1.5 is intriguing. That's really cool.
So this is not like an expansion with new modules. It's a whole standalone separate game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Very confusing in that La Granja Master Set from Board and Dice is also coming out this year, which is La Granja with like 5 new modules and expansions and stuff. So
Well, that's 1.75. This is only 1.5.
Yeah, tell me about it. So anyway, it's a good year for La Granja fans. That's all I got to say about that. My number 4.
Nice.
There you
My
go.
number 4 is another game that I have played around a little bit with. It's been demoed at some different conventions and things like that, and it is Unconscious Mind. This is coming from Fantasia Games, and in this one, I think the theme is so fascinating, where you are in the Freudian era and you are trying to treat different patients by going into their dreams. And in order to treat them, you have to have the right treatment methods, in the 4 different kind of move up certain tracks, but then you kind of cash those in and by treating them in order to make them easier to treat, to then power. And so you're setting yourself up for some really good, I guess, kind of combos. You make your own little kind of rondelle thing as you action choose, but there's a main board out here where you actions select. So I think what I was really liked by this is, one, just the theme in the world. The combination artwork here, I think where they kept Vincent Dutray as the real world is very thematically it really fits the theme of what you're doing in the area you're in, But then you have the Andrew Bosley dream world, which is just rich and just kind of this lush feeling. And I think that was just so smart, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But then integrated with some really fascinating mechanics, as you have to go a couple different ways to get the right resources to cash them in, to treat the patients, which doesn't completely treat them. It just brings them down to a reasonable level that you can then, release them or fully treat them. It's not heal them, right?
Is
I know.
it actualize that? I forget what
they
use a lot of thematic language that didn't bog down the game.
Right, and it also, in this theme was really cool, where it can be a sensitive theme, I think, mental illness and stuff, but this is done very respectfully, I found,
Nice.
I thought, one, it was gorgeous, two, that the thematic integration of the mechanisms was very smooth and very natural, and it is one that I really want to explore just based on that little bit, that we played. I'm really excited to delve into this game and see what it offers. So yeah, my number 4, the new one from Fantasia Games, Unconscious Mind.
That's cool that you've gotten to play a little bit of it, because this was on my list last year. And so I didn't put it on here just because I've already mentioned it in the past, but I'm fascinated with psychology stuff, and so it's very cool to me. Yeah. All right, my number 4 is not quite a crossover with you two, but it's kind of like an adjacent crossover. This is Sleeping Gods Primeval Peril. This is the solo to 2-player, like, little side quest kind of thing for Sleeping Gods. And so I guess what you're doing is like a whole story of its own, but it's a shorter story. It's a little bit less to explore, a little bit less to do. And so it sounds very, very consumable for me and Chris. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that we're excited when it comes out, to be able to kind of have that exploration feel, that Sleeping Gods feel, but better balanced for a 2-player game, and then also not being quite so vast so that we don't feel like we have to do it all.
This was actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the print and play, right?
It
that
was,
they offered in the last one, right? So yeah, okay, I thought so. Yeah, so I played this because I did the print and play version of it. So yeah, I didn't realize that he was making it mass
so it's
now.
like a real
part of
production of it.
Got
That
it.
was the part of the Distant Skies campaign.
Got
was
it.
They beefed it up from what it was. They filled it out, and they did some renovations, redevelopment on it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And they're publishing it as its own box. So I'm really excited
Is
because
it
I want
specifically for 2 players, or?
Yeah,
1 to 2. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So you're not running 9 characters. Like, it is fewer characters. It's just kind of everything on like a smaller scale.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about it, and I basically consider it a crossover with you guys, because it's still Sleeping Gods.
Right, yeah. Chris, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks for the
that.
Jack Vassal Memorial Fund. Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. My number 4, I am a huge fan of Seventh Continent. It's like a fun survival game. This is Seventh Citadel.
Oh, another one I'm so glad you
I
have on your
am
list.
super stoked for Seventh Citadel. This was actually on mine last year as well. I was like, oh, it was on my last year. It still hasn't come out yet. But I just enjoy the mechanics of Seventh Continent. I enjoy going out and exploring the map, and like just how the map just kind of builds out and gets bigger and bigger. And I really enjoy the kind of press your luck mechanic of getting the stars on the different cards and things like that. I really hope they keep a lot of that really cool stuff they had in Seventh Continent, but make it more accessible. This is another game where it's like gigantic story game, but make it more accessible for me so I can make it hit the table more. That's kind of what they're promising with this as well. And I want to just explore these worlds. It's cool to see the stories that emerge from them. I know that I played Seventh Continent for hours and hours and hours and hours just to get through one scenario. But it's been a blast playing that, and I'm really excited to see how this kind of brings that world to life again.
I was looking at this because I've never played Seventh Continent, but it's one of those that I wonder if I would like. I think that there's some elements to it that I'd enjoy.
I mean, you really had to play Seventh Continent with extremely low player counts, either 1 or 2 people to kind of work.
I never
played
play
it
with
4,
more than 2.
and I really disliked
There's
it.
no point in playing with a bunch
Yeah.
of people because you kind of all need to be together to kind of do stuff. So you might as well play it with either solo or with another single person and kind of make those decisions together and just move together.
Yeah, so if this one's even more digestible, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's easier to get to the table.
And the mechanics of kind of building out stuff, but then also you're having to discard cards from a deck to kind of get stars. You're kind of allowed to push your luck on how much you want to discard to kind of do this test. Is this test really important? But you also have to continually find food to be able to refill that deck, because if it goes all the way out, you're going to lose the game. So it's kind of this weird push and pull of I could be succeeding all of my tests, but if I am, I'm probably going to lose. You know, so it's this interesting push and pull. And it's like, we need to find food now. Like, I think there's food in the bushes over there. Maybe we can find it. That sort of stuff is really exciting and kind of gives it that survival feel.
I was going to say, it's like survival meets open world adventure.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, just going on an adventure and doing the puzzles. That's great on its own.
And it feels kind of cool, like building all these different like items and stuff like, oh, now we have a shovel, now we have this and that. It's kind of cool to be like, oh, now we have this axe or whatever. How are we going to use that? You know, those sort of things are kind of fun.
Yeah. Good choice.
But yeah, 7th Citadel, my number 4.
So apparently Mike is the secret hidden artist here.
That's amazing.
I'm shocked.
I'm so
I
glad.
thought they looked beautiful, honestly.
I'm so glad
I thought
I didn't
they were
make fun
like
of that
really well,
donkey
like
pig nose
professional
then.
artists. So
I was correct then in claiming that those were above my skill level.
Yeah.
I can draw a dang good penguin. If you back the Dice Tower Kickstarter at the birthday card level, there's a small chance I will draw you a penguin in the card, actually.
yeah, but now you know everyone's going to be expecting that. You done messed up!
That's a lot of penguins you gotta draw.
My penguins are super easy. My number 3. This is the one I was expecting you to be excited about. So my number 3 is called The Dark Quarter. This is sort of a follow-up of sorts to Destinies, which is one of my favorite games of
2021?
2 years ago? Yeah, 21.
Yeah.
Destinies is coming out with an expansion this year, and I'm very excited about that. But Dark Quarter is a fully cooperative mystery-solving game. It takes place in a very, very dark kind of New Orleans area. I'm excited about this. It's a combination between Lucky Duck and Van Ryder Games, two companies that I think do fantastic, thematic, gritty, just kind of storytelling, story-driven games. I'm very excited about this. My only hesitancy about it is the mature rating that they gave it. I don't know what kind of mature it's going to be, because there's definitely things that I'm fine with. You know what I mean? There's other things that kind of make me a little bit uncomfortable. I don't think of myself very prudish, but I hope that the maturityness of it adds to the depth, adds to the risk of going into these different areas. I hope it's not just, I don't know, gross for the sake of gross or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. But because this is from two trusted companies, that's why I'm all in for it. I'm so excited about Dark Quarter. So yeah, my number 3.
Nice.
Yes, that's a good one. There you go. There it is. That's a good one. My number 3 is another game I've dabbled with a little bit, but even before that, I was really excited about this game. It is the Fox Experiment, and what I was really excited about this game is because it has a flip and write or roll and write, I guess, element to it, but I would not call this a roll and write game specifically. So in this one, you are going through and breeding foxes to try and get the most powerful point scoring fox, I guess, but you're actually going through and you're selecting certain traits and beefing up, selecting new parents in order to try to get the right kind of offspring, stuff like that. And as you mate two together, you roll the dice to see what offspring they have, what traits they have. And so it has that roll and write element to it in a bigger game that has more depth to it. Like if this would never show up on a list for me of top roll and writes, but we're actually seeing that more instead of a game style, we're seeing it as an element in a game, a mechanism that's included in a game. And I think that is so exciting. It was a lot of fun, the live play that we did of it, and it just left me wanting to play more and to really kind of push those boundaries, even though I scored it completely wrong. I know, I got it.
Forgot about that.
Don't shake your head at me, Delicio. You taught the rules. Or you didn't teach the rule.
No.
Okay.
You didn't listen.
Oh, now Mike wants to interrupt.
Oh, now it's okay to interrupt.
Call me out. I'm going to respond.
You don't want to take credit for all the fantastic artwork he was drawing for
Right.
me.
But I think that this is one that I'm really excited about to really get into and play with the final copy, to see those rules kind of not smoothed out, because I think it was mostly there, but to see them really honed in the final product of this and see what they do with it. Super excited about it. This is one of the few Kickstarters that I myself was like, I want to guarantee I get a copy of this and get to play more with it. So it is definitely one that I took the initiative and backed myself. I'm so excited for the Fox Experiment.
I definitely had a good first experience with this as well, and I didn't get to play it live, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. Those cards and everything.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. All right, my number 3 is a crossover with Camilla. This is Earth. So I'm
good one.
also really excited about this. Now this on BGG it said it's an open world engine builder, and I was like, oh, those two things sound awesome together. So I was sold instantly there. But then also, yeah, it does have that just that building up ecosystems, which sounds like an interesting puzzle to me because the more that I look into and understand the science behind how nature balances itself out, my mind is blown. I'm like, I don't understand how everything works together. I don't understand how, this fish feeds this fish, which then poops this and feeds that thing. Like, you know what I mean? There's just so much involved in how the world just works and it fits and things survive and they thrive with each other.
A lot of poop in nature.
A lot of poop in nature.
It is natural.
But it just the whole life cycle of everything and how that all works. So I'm excited to see how an open world engine builder takes that interesting puzzle of balancing everything out and puts it together. It's very exciting to me.
I have to just comment on the chat right now, completely derailing and talking about how harsh fox urine is on clothing. I did not know that before.
But I would like to know the story of how you found that out. So
Yes,
be sure to
please
let us
Kabuki.
know in the
Thank you.
permanent comments.
Why specifically
after this.
fox? Yeah.
What does the fox say? No, anyway. So yeah, my number 3 is actually a crossover with Chris on this number. It's Dark Quarter. And it's going to be a crossover with Camilla in a little bit.
You don't know what? No.
Anyway, so Dark Quarter is
Spoilers,
awesome.
maybe?
Let's talk about it before Camilla can. But yeah, I really enjoyed Destinies. Destinies is a blast, and I'm really excited to see this game as well. It's going to be cool to kind of see how everything comes together and what they've done with the more gritty theme on this as well. And like you said, Van Ryder is really good at stories as well as Lucky Duck, so it's going to be really cool to see the mashup of that. I know I like the mechanisms for this already, just loving the mechanisms from Destinies and kind of the way they do skill checks in that game. It's a blast, and the fact that this is basically the same sort of theme and with like the same sort of mechanisms with like a new different theme on it will be really cool to see how it all comes together. So I'm super excited to see how the Dark Quarter turns out. So awesome.
Good choice, Roy. That's a good choice. My number 2 goes from highly thematic back to the Euro realm. I mentioned Shem Phillips earlier. I'm mentioning Shem Phillips again. This is Scholars of the South Tigris. This is Shem Phillips with Sam McDonald. The two of them last year did Wayfarers of the South Tigris. Nailed it, which I really loved. This is going to be the follow-up to that one here. What, did Mike draw something again?
No, I'm just reading funny, like getting peed on by a fox stories. Go ahead. Sorry, I got distracted.
So this is on the list. I don't really know anything about how the game works, but it's on the list because Garfield Games has earned that much trust and that much excitement from me based on how Wayfarers works. I know that's going to be, it's going to have a dice system to it and some dice mitigation and control and stuff. That's going to be kind of their connective tissue, their theme throughout the South Tigris series. Looking at the picture there, I see the little influence markers on cards. And it makes me think like, oh, okay, maybe that's why that mechanism was in Wayfarers. Because that was the one mechanism I was like, you could chop that out and it'd smooth out the game a bit. But if it's going to be kind of
The connection.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to be in all 3 of the games of that trilogy. And maybe it'll make more sense here. I know this was the first one that they designed, but they said they were going to release it second. Just kind of, they felt better about that flow. So I am jazzed about it. And I don't need to know anything more. I'm just looking forward to it coming out. Number 2.
I mean, at this point, with the pedigree for you and your history with the games, it's pretty solid.
Absolutely.
How many Shem Phillips games do you have on your list?
Only these 2.
Okay.
Only 2. I think he's only coming out with 2 this year. So,
There you go.
and you got the other one from
But I got the other one
from
that his
Arcus
hands are
company.
dabbling in. Yeah.
So my number 2, Scholars of the South Tigris.
Fantastic. My number 2 is Tamashii. I think that this game, it checks so many boxes for me. I remember this is probably like my most looked at Kickstarter of the year.
wow.
Like I remember when it was live, it was
You're
like
just waffling
every
back and
other day.
forth
I was
on
like,
it.
let me check again. Hold on, let me look at it again. I really like.
Does it
this
glow in
one.
the dark?
No, but it has that cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's like super
cyberpunk is the
neon-y.
theme in a post-apocalyptic kind of setting, is what it's going for here. And so you were talking earlier about an Awakened Realms game and Ragnarok's, how it's kind of, some of their older ones are a little bit too hard to get into, a lot of rules heavy, sometimes overhead. This one is by Awakened Realms Light. And so I'm hoping that because of that, it is going to be a little bit easier to jump into with some of the rules. It's going to, sorry, pardon me, be a cooperative game, which again, huge fan of. So the theme is hitting it for me. The look is hitting it for me. The Awakened Realms, Light coming at it with some of the things I like from their games. I'm just so excited by this game. I just, that's all. I don't know. I don't have words. I'm just excited.
I'm excited about the premise of an Awakened Realms Light.
Yes.
That sounds good. I
Yeah.
mean, Roy, you're talking about Seventh Citadel is supposed to be more approachable. I just want everything that's like awesome and big and epic. I want Jaws of the Lion approachable.
Versions.
Like,
Yeah,
that's-
yeah.
But you don't want Mercado de Lisboa level.
Oh, I want them to be good, to be clear.
Yeah.
So this checks a lot of boxes, and I think the more I look at this game, the more excited I get. It's not one of those like it's not set on the back burner and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. This one's been on my mind. So good.
I would love to try this one out. I'm hoping it's really good. That would
Yeah.
be really cool.
Well, for mine, I'm waiting on the 4-way crossover because mine is Dark Quarter as well. So my number 2. This is in 1980s, which kind of surprised me that was going to be the year they were going for. I was assuming it was going to be kind of like an older New Orleans, Louisiana, but the 80s, I was like, I can relate with that a little bit. I was at least born in that decade. So yeah, I'm excited about the magic and I'm curious what levels of dark witchcraft creepiness they're going to go into. Like I'm very curious because I've seen so many different TV shows or read so many different books in this kind of Louisiana, New Orleans area, and so I'm curious what they're going to dive into and what lore they're going to get into, and so I'm excited for it.
Kurt Russell stars right in the cover there, so very excited about it.
It's good stuff.
It's awesome. For me,
Is it Dark Quarter again?
it's dark. No, it is actually a game that was my number 1 last year. I didn't look at my list, but it's
Oh,
still
really?
not out yet. And this is Adaria, I think is how you say it. It's made Aridia. It's made by the designer of Zaya, which I am a huge fan of. I love like open world sandboxy type stuff, and I really enjoy like the way he makes games. I mean, I'm excited to see how this comes all together. This is the one that had the miniatures that the heads could pop off and you could change the heads on all the different things, and so you could have your character running around with different like bodies or whatever. It's kind of crazy. But I've heard from several friends that this is a really good game and a lot of fun, and I'm just excited to see kind of what Cody and Far Off Games has kind of like put into this game and how they've made it interesting. It kind of has cool like almost like mix out your different weapons in a polyomino way on your character board and stuff like that. I've loved that in Zaya, and I'm really excited to see how that works out here. And it has a thing where you can kind of like stow your character board away with all that stuff already on them for the campaign or whatever.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
keep it all together. It's kind of almost like in Zaya how you had your ship you could build out. If you could take your ship and just save it all put together, it's kind of what you can do in this game. So I'm really excited to see how he's made all that stuff. I really think he has like great, unique ideas, and I'm excited to see how this all comes together.
Save systems.
Exactly. Save systems are great, especially for campaign games.
Yes.
Definitely.
But yeah, my number 2.
Serious? Your daughter would hate you.
She already hates us. We make her save
That's
10
fair.
pieces of
There
candy.
you go.
so
Change
we-
the
That's
name.
true.
There you go. All right. You're
Just not peeking at my Hershey bars then.
Get that checked out. Sorry. So never mind.
carry on.
I'm very curious what your one's going to be to displace that. My number 1 is a crossover. I believe it was Camilla that mentioned it here today. It is Unconscious Mind. This is the game I'm most excited about. We played a few demo rounds at Essen?
Essen.
Yeah, at Essen. And those few demo rounds were so fun.
Oh, nice.
They were so cool. The deluxe pieces and all that stuff, that doesn't usually get me. but a well-produced game does. The Vincent Dutrait artwork, the fact that stuff was understandable despite the fact that it was a little bit bigger of a table spread than I was expecting it to be. There's a lot of stuff going on, but everything felt cohesive. It had layers of decision-making per turn, but once again, cohesive, sensible, thematically rich. This is, to me, I complimented Johnny Pack, one of the designers, was teaching us. He said, this gives me a lot of those feels that a Vital Lacerda game gives me when they're going really well, without as much overhead, without as much struggling to remember what I can do on my turn. And we played less than half of a full game of it.
Right.
The system was memorized by that point. So I'm really excited. It's beautiful, great theme, and this is from Fantasia Games, which knocked it out of the park with Endless Winter this last year. So now this is a company that's hopefully, what was the word you used earlier?
Like the pedigree?
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is a little too early to say, like pedigree, yeah, but I get that's coming off something as good as Endless Winter.
And knowing that we already, at least baseline, like this one, they are hopefully continuing to prove themselves
That's
an
awesome.
awesome company.
And knowing how heavily involved Johnny Pack was in the development of Endless Winter, and now to see his full design here is really exciting.
There's three other designers. I can't remember their names offhand, but I'm really looking forward to it. My number one unconscious mind, by and far.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
very good. My number one is the four-way crossover you've been waiting for. It is the Dark Quarter.
Yeah!
Nobody called it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
agree.
excited. Okay, listen up. Here's the
You
thing.
behaved
Here's the
really
thing, though.
well
I
up
did.
to this point.
I thank you so much. I did. Okay.
Gold star.
So you have Van Ryder Games, which are known for their heavy thematics, their writing, that gritty nature. I mean, Final Girl, they just really kind of push the limits in that kind of horror category, right? And they just have such great thematics into the games and with the mechanisms. You have Lucky Duck, who has just shown over and over again what they can take with these new systems they create. We saw it in Chronicles of Crime, then we saw it in Destinies. So a marriage of those two things, some amazing mechanisms that really kind of push the boundaries, new things that we don't see, but bringing that familiarity, kind of building off of the Destinies upgrading system, and then bringing Van Ryder in for this theme and this rich world. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. This is just, it just screams me, this game here, and I'm like, yes, I want to go in. I mean, being from the South, with some of these stories and some of the lore that you talked about, New Orleans, been there multiple times, and just such a rich history. You have some of that Cajun, that Creole history, and I'm so excited to see where it goes, what they can do with this theme, with these mechanisms, these two companies coming together. I'm so excited. My number one.
Tell us how you really feel.
I'm pretty excited.
Forgot how to speak properly. Excited.
That was proper. I don't know what you're talking about. That's just how I talk when I'm excited.
We'll have to play it for sure.
Oh man, for sure, all four of us. My number one is a crossover with Chris, and this is Scholars of the South Tigris. Shem Phillips, like her, everything Chris said was that it's just, he has proven time and time again, and his combination with Sam McDonald, that I just love their games. This has, on the BGG page, it said that it has deck building, bag building, and pool building. I don't even know what all of that is, but there's a lot of building going on with stuff. There's going to be some dice placement, it sounds like. Tech trees, area majority. There's a whole slew of mechanisms listed in this game, and I'm super curious how it's going to all tie together. And it's interesting because that board has some similarities and some differences to the last South Tigris game, so I'm just excited to see what they have and what the combination is.
I'm already making guesses as to how stuff works.
Yeah.
That's I feel like the Garfield games present themselves well.
Yeah,
So,
it has some cards on the outside. Can we use those throughout the game? Are we collecting those?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
well, good choice. Wendy.
Thanks. I get a gold
choice.
star.
Yes. My number one is a game from Simon, and it's from an IP I really like, and that is Dune War of Arrakis. This is made by the same team that made War of the Ring, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And when I first saw this, I'm like, oh, they're making a Dune game, crazy. And then when I saw the team behind it, and then looking at the mechanisms of the game, and looking at the miniatures and kind of how everything is playing out, I'm like, man, this is kind of like War of the Ring, but in the Dune IP. But it's modernized and kind of changed up in different ways. You're using dice for actions and kind of moving your characters around the board, trying to take over different spaces, playing the two different sides of the game. It's like a 2-player game. It's just gigantic, grandiose game. I mean, I probably can go up to 4 like War of the Ring can, but it's probably going to be one of those. It's like a gigantic head-to-head 2-player battler where you're just going out there and taking over everything with tons of different theme. I love the miniatures for this game. I love the way this game kind of like looks like it has all come together, and the team behind it just makes me super excited to play this one and super excited to get this one to the table. I love Dune, and so I grew up with playing the old Dune board game, which was like a gigantic 8-player game, or you had to play with you had to play with 6 people, I think. But you play with 6 people, but this is a 2-player Dune game, which I'm really excited about playing that as well. And it's made by great people who I think can make a really cool game, so.
Someone in the chat called it Dunes on a Map game.
Yes, exactly. Dunes on a map. Worms on a map. Let's do it.
Dune is an IP that I think has grown on me. A lot of times, as we see the saturation of it in the hobby, as a specific theme or a certain IP, it kind of starts dwindling, But Dune is one that I jumped into it. I really liked, and it's actually grown.
It's so
for
funny
me.
because for years and years and years in the hobby, we had the one Dune board game, and it was popular. It was made by the same people who made Cosmic Encounter. But now with the movie coming out, it's been released more, and we've seen a bunch of different board games, and some of those are hit or miss,
Right.
depending on which game it is. This is one that I feel like is going to be solid, and I'm excited about playing.
Someone in that family that owned the rights to that must have passed or something. Something changed because.
Right.
That Dune board game was out of print for decades,
Right,
wasn't
and
it?
Fantasy Flight, when they made Rex, they wanted to use that IP, but they weren't able to.
Yeah.
So then the rights ended up kind of like the game. I like Rex too, but that's the old Dune board game. So it's kind of interesting to see that there's tons of Dune board games now, and the movie coming up is going to be super awesome too. So I'm excited about it.
For sure.
I'm cautiously interested in this one. CMON tends to make a lot of really big productions that I don't particularly care for, but like you said, the designer pedigree makes this one more intriguing.
And it's kind of interesting because this feels like it's probably maybe even more of a complex game than CMON normally does. They're known for their
that'd be
zombie
interesting.
side. They're
Yeah.
known for a bunch of other stuff. This is if it's War of the Ring type game, if it feels like Star Wars Rebellion sort of thing, I'm all in on this. So
That'll be
I'm excited.
interesting. Very cool.
Cool.
Well, I think most of my honorable mentions were brought up by Roy. So does anybody else have honorable mentions that they wanted to shout out?
I mentioned Distilled earlier.
Talk about that.
Yeah, no, I think that there's a lot of really good ones on here. Like a lot of the ones that I'm excited about, like Tomashi and the Sleeping Gods and stuff. I'm very interested in this idea of taking these big epics and making them a little bit smaller, but still epic. That sounds like a sweet spot to me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that y'all brought up a lot of those.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Unconscious Mind was probably my biggest one, and you guys all mentioned that. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us here on our top 10 anticipated games of 2023. Let us know in the comments down below what you're excited about, and we'll check it out. So until then, next time.
Until then, next time.
Right
Next
now,
time,
I am
we'll be
Camilla
done.
Cleghorn.
I currently continue to be Chris Yi.
I'm still Roy Cannaday.
And for now, I'm Wendy Yi.
Bye.